Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that will help you to unleash what you are born to bring. I chat with heart-led experts and I ask the questions that I know you're thinking about, and we explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and that help you to show up fully in your life, at work, and for those around you. And so today, here's our topic. You'd love to be a speaker, but this conversation is worth your while because your brilliance was never meant to stay hidden. Speaking can be one of the most natural ways to attract clients so you don't have to constantly chase them. And it allows you to share your brilliance with more people at once. So if you've been carrying a list around of reasons why speaking isn't for you, this conversation will help you to look at those yeah buts so you can attract clients and grow your impact. We're going to share that with you today. I'm super excited about it. I'm your host, Linda Bucher. And if the life you are in no longer fits you, this space is for you. Because through this podcast and in my coaching work, I guide impact-driven humans like you to shed what no longer fits, to reconnect with your gifts, and to bring your life into alignment with who you are and what you want. Because when that happens, you will finally be able to unleash what you were born to bring and create meaningful, lasting impact in the world. Now, if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. All right, today, speaking about loving to be a speaker, yeah, but I have the pleasure of being joined by Leisa Reid, and Leisa is the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. What a great company name. And Lisa's making beautiful positive ripples in the world in her unique way. She helps entrepreneurs to share their brilliance through public speaking so they can grow their businesses and make an impact. So, Leisa, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, so excited to be here, Linda. It's amazing.
Okay, great. Before we get started, can you just tell our audience a little bit more about who you serve and what you do?
Absolutely. I love working with entrepreneurs, men and women, who have always thought about becoming a speaker, but just haven't decided on their signature talk or the stages that they would be on. Maybe they have some questions about how would I get booked? Where would I get booked? How would I attract my clients? How would this whole thing work? And they really deeply feel called to share their message from the stage, whether it's virtual or in person. And those are the types of conversations I have on a regular basis. It's not usually, I'm terrified to speak. It's usually like, I can't wait to do it, but I just, don't know how to get started. So that's who I really love to work with.
Well, that's fantastic. I can just share a quick story. I used to speak a lot pre-COVID, a lot, like once or twice a month. And my problem was I would speak on whatever I was asked to speak on because, I mean, as a coach, I have so many tools to share and teach. Um, and it started really to burn me out because I kept recreating um, talks like what are you working on? Slides. I kept making more slides and reorganizing and what tools would be good for this talk. And I really got burned out. And it's because I didn't have a signature talk. And I didn't have a signature talk because I wasn't sure, like, because I had so many things to share. I was like, well, how can I possibly whittle all that down into one thing? It was tough. So let's talk about the yeah buts, right? Because that's what our topic is. You'd love to be a speaker, but so we all have these yeah buts. And the yeah buts are like, what would I say? Like, yeah, who would want me on a stage? Who even wants to hear what I have to say? Yeah, where would I even go? Like, where can I go? I'm not a polished speaker. I watch these other speakers, these TED Talks, right? TEDx talks, and I'm like, oh, they're so much better, right? And there's other experts; they know more than me, so we stay hidden, right?
Mhm.
Even though, like you said, those of us someone might come to you would be like, but I love being on a stage. I do love it. It does light me up. I'm one of those people. So let's just talk about those yeah buts.
Absolutely. And what I call those yeah buts is either speaker's kryptonite, depending on who I'm talking to, which is like the kryptonite is the fictional thing that could kill Superman, right? Or I'll say brilliance hoarding. It's kind of the same thing, but we suffer from these inner thoughts, which as a coach, you're fully aware of how to help support people with that. In speaking, it can be different because even though we want something, we can still have doubts about how it's going to be, or we can future cast like, oh, this is going to be not a good thing, or I'm going to get rejected, or I'm going to look stupid, or whatever. So there's all these different layers that happen when someone's stretching outside what I call the comfy zone. You know, you're just stretching and your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. Like, no, 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 we're safer here, just keeping to ourselves and not talking to anybody. And we're not going to put ourselves out there and be vulnerable. I often say when it comes to speaking, nobody can do your push-ups for you on stage. Like, it's you, and you, baby. Now, you and I are very similar. I think it's the drug-free drug, like being on stage. It's
Yeah.
like so fun. However, it's not fun if you don't know what you're talking about, if you aren't prepared, if some things maybe go wrong, then you've never experienced that before. So there is a normal progression of really allowing your nervous system to kind of catch up with your dreams. And like I just had a new client did a talk and she's like, oh, my slides froze and then I froze and it got worked out. But she's like, what do I do if that happens again? I go, it's probably going to happen again.
Mhm.
But what happens is that your nervous system goes, okay, when nobody died. It was okay. Like even if the slides didn't end up working, you still have the knowledge within you. And so being able to give ourselves grace and patience. For example, like if you were tying your shoes for the very first time, it probably didn't go so well. You probably didn't make a bow. Maybe you made a knot or really loose bow, or you forgot, the rabbit ears or what. But you kept going. You didn't give up learning how to tie your shoes. It's the same thing with public speaking. Just give yourself some grace.
Yeah, I love that. I actually wrote an article many years ago. It's I just put it on my blog like 2 weeks ago though. It's called "Shut Up, I'm on Next: How to Leave Your Inner Critic Backstage," and it focuses on overcoming 5 big fears that we have once we're on stage. And one of them, yeah, well, many of them are aligned with these yeah buts um, as well. So like one of the things I talk about is the fact that you might not be the only expert in the room and
Yeah.
people might be judging you. And the truth is, it's yes, they might judge you. And so I like to set expectations ahead of time. The expectations I set for my audience, I also set for myself. So I might say, um, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, you guys probably know a lot more in certain areas than I do, but I'm going to share what I know to be true because there's some stuff I do know. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to share with you. And if it resonates, I invite you to keep it. And if it doesn't, I want you to just drop it. Like, don't believe me. It's okay. I don't need you to believe me. And when I set that expectation, if even if you think about that ahead of time before you even do your signature talk or whatever, like, oh, I can set an expectation so I don't need to feel the pressure of being the most expert in the room to know absolutely everything I got to know. All I got to know is what I know because I know what I know, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and just and be who I am and give the audience permission to take it or leave it. Like when you do that, it really lowers the stakes. It can lower the fear. So that's how we can get rid of that. Your yeah, but
Love that. Yeah, there's different ones that I'll talk about, like comparisitis, which would fall into that one, or not enoughness. Like it just depends on the person and like what's that trigger. Some people get scared or are afraid to speak because they don't know anyone in the audience. Other people are afraid because they know everyone in the audience. So it's like pick our poison. And so when I have a conversation with someone, I'm like, I often say we need to have the right conversation with ourselves
Mhm.
to really get the antidote. Like I love your antidote, but that might not be a fear of someone else's. They're like, oh, I
Right.
don't care if there's other extra. So it's so personal what's
Yes,
holding us back. But when we really have
absolutely.
that right conversation, we can move forward quickly.
Right. Let's talk about the lack of clarity, like the what will I say? Let's talk about
Yeah.
that, like signature talk. How do you, like someone like me? So I'm a scanner and I'm a mentor and I'm a teacher all at heart, and I want to share all the
Everything.
stuff, all
Yeah.
the stuff. Like if you didn't say, oh, you only have this much time, I could be up there for 3, 4 hours just having a blast, sharing some good stuff. So, what about this clarity about like what do I speak? How do I narrow it down? What do you do with your clients in that
I
case?
think of it, you are not the first person to have that experience where, especially when we've been in business for decades, you're like, I've got so much knowledge. I mean, how am I going to fit that in a half an hour? How am I going to tell them everything in a half an hour? Well, you didn't learn everything in a half an hour that you know. So there's no reason to have an expectation that the audience needs to know every single thing that you know, right? that's where the invitation to come and work with you starts to be a natural flow. So you're just giving them little nuggets. I think of it as like a hearty appetizer, because if you're ever been to Thanksgiving dinner, I often say we don't want a Thanksgiving dinner the audience, meaning they're passed out on the couch so full they don't want one more thing. We want to just give them some nice hearty appetizers like, "Oh, that was so delicious. I cannot wait to have more. What's for dessert?" Like that's where we want to leave them there. And another metaphor I'll use is the garage. Like I'm like, okay, it sounds like we've got a garage full of boxes, and some are organized and some are all over the place. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to put whatever is going to go in that signature talk. We're going to put those things in that box, and we're going to take that box right on out of the garage, and that will be the talk. And I will also say, you can do everything, you just can't do it all at once. So let's decide on what's the talk that makes the most sense now in your business with your contacts, with, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then guess what? You can create more talks, but we don't need to do them all at the same time because that's crazy making. Like what you're doing, what you were sharing before. You're not the first person to tell me that. It is exhausting. So there's this power of like putting your stake in the ground, like, this is my talk, this is what I stand for. And if it doesn't fit for your audience, that's okay. I'm going to move to the next one. So you don't have to fit into everybody's paradigm.
Right. What do you think about like your talk being kind of like your why? Don't give them the how. They'll come to you for the how. But your why and how it could align with their why and what they're really looking to accomplish. Because I think that like so for instance, like my tagline is unleash what you were born to bring, right? And so one of the beginning things people be like, well, yeah, I was born to bring something. Like what? There's a thing, right? So that's something they need to know. Like, yes, you were, right? And why you should unleash it, and what that means to make it less scary. Because it could just mean unleashing in your own family unit. It doesn't mean you have to be Oprah and make an impact on the world. Like, your impact is here is important. So really kind of identifying something that is like, well, I guess it's like a thought leadership thing, something that it's a way of thinking of something that is put in such a way that is like new and intriguing and leaves people wanting more. And then you don't even have to really sell from the stage. It just kind of people want to take that next step, correct?
Yeah, and it's also intentional. Sometimes people fall into the trap of like winging it, or, well, I know a lot about things. I'll just go up there and share a bunch of things. And I'm like, no, when you're speaking in front of an audience, you've been selected to represent because the organizer thought our audience is really going to love this topic and get a lot of value from it. And you, as a speaker, are like, oh, that audience would be great for me because I have potential clients in that audience as well. So there's a little bit of matchmaking that happens. You always want to give value to the audience and value to your business. And that's that nice balance. We've been on the other side of, but when it's out of balance, when you feel like sold to, or it's weird,
Yeah.
like it's a weird thing and the audience isn't getting value. And then on the other side, I hear the horror stories of the other out of balance, which is I gave and gave and gave and gave and gave, and I got nothing back. And I'm like, well, that's because neither of them had the correct strategy or intention behind it. So we want to really be intentional about the person. Like you are really comfortable speaking, you've been in business a long time, you've had a lot of clients, you have a lot of success, credibility, connections, there's all that you're bringing to the stage. If someone's newer, we're like, okay, well, what other assets do you have? Why are you up here? Why do you want to do this? Like, let's really get into that part, because sometimes people are more introverted or shy. You can still be an amazing speaker if you're shy or introverted, but we just want to come up with a plan that represents you the best way and that gives value to the audience and gives value to your business.
Right. I love that. Also, I would say when I was doing so much speaking, I I really wasn't converting into clients. Now, I'm interested on your take on this. So this is the curiosity piece. I've discovered that people fall into three camps, who are in general, like in my industry with, with who I work with, the type of people who I work with. So one is they're what I call island dwellers. They're on this island of playing it safe, and they're just not ready, or they don't have the capacity, or they're even unaware that they're just sitting around the campfire and they're not going anywhere. So they are not, they're probably not even going out to see someone talk or watch a Zoom or take a course because they're like, they're usually in this place of hoping and waiting, hoping for something to change or waiting for it to happen, hoping for someone to fix everything or rescue them or make them happy or show whatever and waiting for it to happen. So those are the island dwellers. Then there's the dock seekers, and they're like, yeah, I've been sitting by this campfire. I'm not getting anywhere. I gotta get up and try to get off this island. So they're like, they put on their backpack and they go trudging through the woods. Now, they don't really know how to navigate the woods or the jungle, but they're like, I'm smart, I'm capable, I can figure this out. They're the ones going to listen to talks, to take courses, buy books. So they might be investing a little tiny bit, but they're like, I'm smart, I'm capable, I can figure this out myself. All I got to do is learn. So they're listening to podcasts, they're listening to watching speakers. Um, and those people are like, thank you so much. I love that. That was great. You really helped me grow. And they continue to grow on their own. Then there's the adventurers, and the adventurers are the ones who have been probably growing on their own for a while. And then they say, okay, I am now impatient. Like I've been growing and learning, and this has been awesome, and I have come really far. But yeah, I need to accelerate now, or I've come as far as I can, and I need an expert right now to help me really get off this island all the way because I'm now at the dock. Okay, so now like, hello, come and get me, boat. I'm ready to get off. Those are the people who are hiring coaches in some way, a
Hmm.
speaking coach, a life coach, someone like me. Um, and so what I noticed is all those audiences who I was speaking for were all doc seekers. I got it. I'm smart. I can do it on my own. All the audiences. So when one of the questions of the yeah, but speaker is like, well, where do I go to say what I got to say so that when I leave them wanting more, they actually want to come and get more.
Yeah, and I mean, we could always dive deeper offline on that, but there's so many factors when it comes to identifying the right stages for yourself and the right audiences. Oftentimes, because you're so dynamic, I would imagine that it wasn't the audience, but that it might have been something within the talk that wasn't clear for them to take that next step. And maybe like if it was a paid keynote, that wasn't appropriate. So again, this is where I would kind of get in there and we
Right.
like a little dissect the situation. And there are differences depending on what stage you're on. And what I think of speaking, I think of it as a deck of cards, like playing cards. 52 cards, lots of different games that you can play. Strip poker is really different than solitaire. So we want to make sure we understand what game are we playing and how do we win. Not to mean that someone else is losing, but just as a business owner, you want to make the right decisions for your time and your energy and your efforts. So part of it is the audience. And then also part of it is what does the organizer expect and what's the rules of their game, because you always want to honor that stage. And then also, is that still a fit for you? And then how can we both win, which is always a nice
Yeah.
conversation to have with the organizer. How can we both make this a win-win situation so that win-win-win, audience, you and the organizer, everybody
Right.
wins. And
Right.
that's really a powerful
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah, and I like the idea of aligning the strategy because if you really get to know your audience, then you can recognize where they are and what they might be ready for. Like, I've given talks to grieving groups, grief groups very early in my career. When now that I know they're in square one of the change cycle, and that is
Yeah,
the inner square where you make really small moves and they're all inside you. You don't go out and do a bunch of stuff. It's so, you know, what I can offer them, it would be something very different than what I offered
right.
when I would give a totally different type of talk. So matching your audience is really huge. Matching your what's next,
Offerings.
your
Yeah,
offer
absolutely.
to that audience, yeah, is really
And I'll
important.
often call that like a monetization menu. Like you don't just have one thing, but like a chef, you're like, these are my specials. These are my things. And this one's going to be on Tuesday. This one's on Wednesday. But the restaurant doesn't need to know every single thing on that secret menu. So as a speaker, you've got your secret menu and then you're like, okay, which the diner's coming to the restaurant tonight. Which special do I want to offer them? And that's okay. So even things like that, that's what I help people strategize with because questions aren't going to come up of like, well, is that good enough? Is that enough? I don't know. Should I do, what if it doesn't work? Like there's 100 questions that come up when we're putting ourselves out there like that. So
Yeah, there really
try to,
are. Yeah, for sure. And what about the final? We'll just do one more yeah, but and that's like But I'm not a polished speaker. These other speakers are like, oh, that was so good. Like,
Yeah,
what
that's
about
a
that? Yeah.
suffering of comparisitis, and especially among women, we tend to discount our accomplishments or, shove them aside or not give them credence. And I mean, when you really look at yourself and think like, oh, well, I have a degree in this or not, or you don't have to have a degree to be a speaker, or I've done this certification, or I've helped so many clients, or I've had these great successes, or I've had these failures that I've overcome, like those are worthy of sharing. If you, again, this is who I help with. If you are wanting to make an impact, if you have solutions that can help with other people's problems and they don't know about you, they don't know this solution, then you absolutely have a seat at the table. But you got to take the seat. They're not just going to like push the chair out for you. Like you have to say, no, I want a seat. Move over.
All
Let
right.
me in. And
Yeah.
that's totally okay.
Yeah, for sure. And also, Um, I don't believe that all speakers need to be polished speakers at
Nope.
all. I
No.
think at a human level, we connect with someone when we see that they're human, that they have faults, that they, you know, say here and there, or that they get maybe animated like they would if you met them at a party. Like I think
Yes.
that's the authenticity instead of being all polished and memorizing everything specifically. I think that
Yeah, I
comes
don't
across a
memorize
little
any of my talks.
plastic. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't memorize my talks, but I know
I don't
them.
either.
I do something called embodiment, where I'm like, you want to embody it. And it's kind of like how many licks to the Tootsie Pop. I don't know, like it's the center of the Tootsie Pop. I don't know, 3, 10, 100. It's really going to be depend on the person. And you practice it enough to where you go, gosh, if the computer blew up and the projector blew up and the lights went out and there was a bees swarming around, like, could I deliver this talk? And that's what we want to get to that point. And we don't want any of those things to happen, but sometimes things happen.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. And our bottom line is, listener, you have brilliance. You are qualified. Do not hoard your brilliance. Identify what your brilliance is, claim what your brilliance is. And then, if you want to know how you can best share it, reach out to Leisa. She will help you do that because that's what you got to do next is share it. And you can start in a way that feels safe. And then, as you build your confidence, you'll be able to go out a little bit more. If you are really unsure of what you want to talk about, Leisa can help you with that as well. Um, so this has been a really great talk. Leisa, is there some one small tiny thing that someone could do right now? I call it a turtle step. Before you listen to the next podcast, or if you can find 10 minutes today to do it, what would you say to do if you really would love to be a speaker and you want to get over some of these yeah buts? What could they do today?
I would say write down or say out loud. You don't even need a pen and paper. 3 things that you could teach somebody else to do, that something that just like comes really easy to you. People compliment you on it. They're like, you're so good at blah, blah, blah. Write it down, state it, claim it. That might be the topic of your next talk.
Beautiful. I love little small things like that. That's fantastic. That's what I always ask my guests to share. So write it down, identify 3 things and write it down. Fantastic. Leisa, thank you. This has been such a great conversation. Do you have anything you wanted to share with our audience and like maybe how they can get in contact with you, get a little bit of what you have to offer?
Absolutely. You can get more tips on how to get speaking gigs at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. That's a free gift for everybody. So if you've been thinking about being a speaker, but you haven't pulled the trigger and you're like, oh, I don't know, how would I do this? There's a lot of great tips on there, all for you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I will be sure to include that information in the show notes. All righty. Okay, so that's our show. I'm Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth, to reconnect to their gifts, and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. And if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com. And if today's episode sparked something for you, and I'm sure it did, please like it and then share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next week, because next week there'll be another expansive, uplifting conversation designed to support your growth. So until next time, make sure you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.